Hello and welcome. If you're looking for a little bit of tranquility in a world that just feels, well, chaotic and overwhelming, you have definitely come to the right place. In this explainer, we're going to uncover a really practical path to finding your calm. I mean, does that sound familiar? So many of us feel like we're just caught on this treadmill of constant striving, always chasing that next thing. It's such a common feeling in our fast-paced world, but I promise you, there is a way to find genuine, lasting contentment. And that's exactly what we're here to do together. We're going to draw on some ancient wisdom to build that roadmap for you. By the end, you'll have a set of real, practical tools to help you simplify your life and cultivate a true sense of inner peace. So here's the journey we're going to take. First, we'll dive into the way and its flow. Then we'll explore the idea of action through non-action and integrity. After that, we'll talk about balancing opposites, the simple wisdom of wanting less, and finally, we'll touch on letting go of self. All right, let's dive right in with our first and most fundamental concept, embracing what's called the way, or Tao, and its natural, spontaneous flow, which is known as Su-ja. So at the very heart of a balanced life is this idea of the Tao. I want you to think of it as the great underlying current of the universe. It's the natural process that everything comes from and everything returns to. And living in balance, well, it just means learning to be an organic part of this process. And Su-ja, that's how this process shows up. It literally means occurrence appearing of itself. It's the beautiful, spontaneous unfolding of everything, with each thing just following its own unique nature. You know, thinking this way, it really changes everything. Instead of seeing ourselves as somehow separate from nature, we're invited to see the earth as one single living organism, and to recognize that we are a vital, integral part of it. Okay, so how do we actually do this? Well, instead of fighting against the current with rigid plans and schedules, try just observing the cycles around you. You know, the seasons, the tides, even the daily rhythm of your own energy. You'll start to notice that there are times for action and growth, and then there are times for rest and reflection. Aligning with these natural rhythms instead of resisting them is really the first big step to reducing stress and finding your flow. And once you start to get a feel for this natural flow, it leads us perfectly into our second principle, action through non-action. Let's explore how to move with the Tao using this amazing concept of Wu Wei. Now, Wu Wei, which translates to nothing's own doing, can feel a little tricky at first. It absolutely does not mean being lazy or just doing nothing. What it really means is acting in a way that's so perfectly aligned with the natural flow that your actions become effortless and spontaneous. It's all about acting without forcing things, without a rigid agenda, and without interfering in the way things want to naturally unfold. And this is where we find this really beautiful paradox. When you let go of that constant need to control everything and instead act in harmony with the way, everything that needs to get done just gets done. By allowing things to happen, you actually become way more effective, but without all the effort. Here's a fantastic metaphor to help this idea stick. Whether you're leading a team, managing a project, or just making a big life decision, think about this. A small fish is delicate, right? If you poke and prod and handle it too much, it just falls apart. Well, the same is true for so many situations in life. You have to trust the process. Do your part for sure, but avoid overmanaging or interfering. Solutions often appear much more naturally when we just give them the space to breathe. Acting in this effortless way, it requires a certain inner guidance, doesn't it? And that brings us directly to our third idea, integrity and inner clarity, which is all about cultivating a quality known as T. You can think of it like this. If the Tao is the universal flow, T is how that flow shows up inside each of us. Tech is often translated as integrity or virtue, but its deeper meaning is about abiding by the way. It's about having a heart-sight clarity, that deep intuitive gut feeling that tells you you're aligned with the natural order of things. It's your inner compass, guiding you to act in a way that feels harmonious and true. Here's a powerful way to think about it. Cultivating this inner clarity is like polishing a mirror. You're gently wiping away all the smudges of your ego, your biases, and your selfish desires until the mirror reflects the world perfectly, just as it is. It's about creating an inner stillness that allows you to act from a place of pure, unstained intention. All right, so we've looked inward at clarity. Now let's zoom back out to understand the world around us with our fourth principle, balancing life's opposites. This is all about the dynamic dance between what the philosophy calls presence and absence. So, presence, or you, is everything we can see and touch and experience, the tangible world of 10,000 things that's always changing. But absence, or wu, is just as vital. It's the silent, formless potential from which everything appears. A great example is a cup. It's the empty space, the absence inside the cup that actually makes it useful. They aren't two separate things fighting each other. They're two sides of the same coin, constantly creating one another. And this idea, it gives us these incredible paradoxes that kind of flip our normal thinking on its head. In yielding is completion, in hollow is full. What we often see as a weakness or as emptiness is actually the source of our greatest strength and potential. True balance is found when we learn to embrace both sides of these opposites. Okay, these concepts are deep, I know, so let's bring it all down to earth with our fifth section, the simplicity of wanting less. This is where we learn how to apply these big ideas by simplifying our desires and embracing moderation in our daily lives. What's really key here is understanding the difference between what we truly need versus what we're told we want. Those manufactured desires for more status, more wealth, more power. It's these endless desires that create so much conflict and unhappiness. The goal is to return to a state of uncarved simplicity where you're just content. This isn't about depriving yourself, it's about finding a deep sense of peace or repose by letting go of that constant nagging feeling of wanting. It really boils down to this simple but profound piece of wisdom. In every single aspect of life, there's a magic in finding the point of just enough. That constant push for more, it rarely leads to happiness. True balance is almost always found in the middle by steering clear of extremes. And that leads us to our final, and maybe the deepest, step on this path to calm, letting go of self, and embracing the incredible freedom that comes from not knowing. This is a really radical idea. It's about letting go of that tight grip we have on our ego, on our rigid identity. By giving up the constant need to define ourselves, to promote ourselves, to build up our self-esteem, we paradoxically become more present and more effective. When we release our grip on who we think we're supposed to be, we stop fighting with the world. And in turn, the world stops fighting with us. And in that space, we find peace. So here is the final piece of the puzzle. And it's another one of those beautiful paradoxes. Real wisdom, it's not about accumulating facts or having all the answers. It's about embracing humility and recognizing the vastness of what we don't know. Knowing not knowing is the highest form of understanding. The real problem, the real affliction, is being completely unaware of our own ignorance. This openness allows us to truly learn and grow and see the world as it is. All right, so let's quickly walk back through the path we've just traveled together. Our path to calm begins when we embrace the Tao's natural flow. Then we learn to act effortlessly with Wu Wei and cultivate inner clarity through Tea. We find balance in life's opposites, practice the beautiful simplicity of wanting less, and ultimately find freedom by letting go of our ego's need to know it all. Now, look, these ideas aren't magic pills or quick fixes. They're more like seeds for a whole new way of being. So we'll leave you with this question to think about. How might embracing just one of these principles begin to transform your own journey? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And if this explainer helped you find even a little more calm today, please give it a like and subscribe for more insights. Thank you so much for joining us.